My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. I'll be my friends. I'm just trying to make you a little money. My job is not just to entertain, it's to teach you. So call me at 1-800-743-CNBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. When you see a grizzly bear in Yellowstone National Park, you call a park ranger because these bears are dangerous. They think nothing of mauling your face off. But the grizzlies turn into teddy bears when the rangers come, and you can't even remember what you were so afraid of. After a day where the Dow gained 420 points, the S&P climbed 1.67%, and the Nasdaq pulled at 2.50%. Bye. We can only presume that the president can turn the grizzlies on Wall Street into teddy bears with the stroke of a pen, or even just a post on the social media platform he owns. I've never, ever seen the market bend so readily to the wishes of one man. It's extraordinary. The park ranger seems to have a way with the bear. It's not clear if he's scaring it down or calming it down, but there's real effort involved. Of course, there's almost no effort involved with President Trump when it comes to declawing the bears on Wall Street. He only needs to walk back some previous comments, and the market catches fire. After spending days mercilessly calling, how about chiding, Fed Chief Jay Powell a major loser whose termination couldn't come fast enough, last night the president made it clear that he had no intention of firing Powell. Never mind that he kept calling him our Fed chief. He's called Mr. Too Late. He now says it was the press that ran away with things. The whole notion of firing Powell now seems to be off the table. And the name calling? And what happens today when that name calling's over and Powell's job's not in danger? Not that it ever should have been, either legally or professionally. Well, I'll tell you what happens. The stock market explodes higher. That's because Wall Street was terrified Trump would cause a constitutional crisis by trying to fire the Fed chief. What's really amazing is that the market had just rallied yesterday, merely because the president didn't trash Powell. Now, I want to say something here. I think it's actually, it's beyond belief how easy it is for this one man to tame a bear, even if it's a bear that he released on us in the first place. All Trump had to do to cause the two-day rally was not repeat that Powell was a major loser and then say he wouldn't try to fire the guy. It certainly helped that President Trump indicated there could be a deal with the Chinese, even though, from what anyone can tell, there's not a lot of discussion with China. The president also conceded that the tariff rate on China won't be 145%. Ooh, but it won't be zero either. Again, not as precise as we'd like, but it's improvement. More importantly, it worked. If you wanted higher stock prices, like I do, it worked. Now, I don't know if people realize how extraordinary all this is. You call the Fed chief some funny names, the kind that would make most of us feel somewhat remorseful, given how Powell's kind of a pretty dignified guy. You tell your lieutenants to see if you're allowed to fire him. Then you say it was really drummed up by the press, and the market rallies like nothing ever happened. It's almost as if there's a whole exercise. It's a TV show. I mean, you can see Powell walk into the boardroom. He seems calm, cool character, sits down. President consults with his other judges. He then turns to look right at the Fed chief, and he says, listen, Mr. Major Loser, you may be too late, but you know what? You're not fired. And then the Nasdaq goes up 2%. Whoa! Now we're almost back to where we were about a week ago, before the press began to gin up those stories about the president bashing Powell. All right, what's really going on here? Look, the president is very powerful, especially when he's fixing problems of his own creation. But something else is going on here, too. The companies that reported yesterday and today gave you amazing numbers with excellent forecasts, even if the tariffs stay on. The CEOs of these companies, one by one, calmly talked about how their business is terrific and could even get better, not the stuff that you expect when you think they were supposed to have a recession. Just take tonight's show. You're going to hear from the CEOs of some of the largest, most important businesses on earth. You'll listen to the CEO of Vertiv, perhaps the most important company in that red-hot data center business, and their business is incredibly strong, no cessation in sight. In fact, I think it's accelerating. You're getting that acceleration for free with that down-and-out stock. You'll listen to an interview with Bill McDermott, the CEO of ServiceNow, a huge enterprise software company that reported arguably the best enterprise software quarter we've seen all year. ServiceNow is a hero stock, putting up insanely good numbers when its stocks seem to indicate that we get a shortfall. Totally wrong. You're going to get to meet the CEO of GE Vernova. A company is furiously trying to meet the demand for more electricity in this country, and it can't meet that demand. It has too much business. I'm calling it a high-quality problem. These are companies with stocks that were seething to go higher. They wanted to launch, but they never would be able to get off the ground as long as the president was rolling out new nicknames for Jay Powell, like maybe Cherry Garcia, talking about how Powell's favorite group, the Deaden Company, should file for Chapter 11. I say that with some mirth, as Powell's the epitome of a distinguished banker, economist, historian, and yes, deadhead. These three stock stories come on top of GE Aerospace, which just shot the lights out. 3M, which is in the midst of a major turnaround. These are big American companies. Given that the whole world's thinking we're about to have a recession here because of the extreme tariff turmoil, these are the kinds of companies that should be slashing the numbers. But they're not. They're raising the numbers. Oh, and just tonight, the story Texas Instruments, which have been struggling mighty of late, shed the weaknesses, put up terrific numbers that might be enough to ignite what had been a moribund chip cohort. Now, here's the real kicker and the difference between Yellowstone and Wall Street. The Ranger can't really make the grizzly get on his hind legs and dance. But the president, he got the bear doing a kick line. Where is Tesla? Here's a company that reported one of the worst quarters of the years. I mean, it's really terrible. It's just dismal. But the stock soars more than 5%. Why? Because CEO Elon Musk is getting out of Doge. He's spending more time with Tesla. That's enough. Now, if this were one of those days where President Trump pokes fun at major world leaders and doubles the tariffs on the spot, Tesla stock would have taken on the chin. But when the president backs away from his high-risk demands, the market's suddenly very forgiving. And when he talks positively about exempting some companies like the autos from some tariffs, well, you know what happens?
House of pleasure.
Yeah, we need these companies to do well if we're going to avoid a downturn. Let me give you one last thought about this. If the president were to use his power to be constructive, to not call people names, to lighten up on Truth Social, and to say it's time we roll up our sleeves and make some trade deals, then I think the market would really roar. And if he simply said, you know what? I want to go back to the way I was last time in the White House where everybody wins, then the Grizzlies would go into hibernation for 4 years. We wouldn't be talking about a bear market rally. We'd be talking about the best ways to serve bear meat. It's a cookbook. Bottom line, that's how powerful Trump has become on Wall Street. On days like today, it's helpful, but for most of the year, it's going the other way. Of course, you never know who he'll target next. We don't want any of the big CEOs to be trashed. That could hurt. The market doesn't care if he goes after law firms or colleges. But going after central bank, different story. Right now, Trump owns Wall Street, and only he can decide if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's time to go all in on good. Let's go to Rakesh in California. Rakesh.
Hi, Jim. I love your show and your advice.
Thank you, partner.
I constantly watch your show. Hi.
Thank you.
I have a question. What do you think if it's a good time to buy Oracle stock now? The stock is pretty beat down right now. And
Oracle is way beaten down. It's another one of those stocks that's being hurt because it's got into the data center. Look, it's up 4 today. I never counsel buying a stock up 4, but I will say this. Oracle has compressed to the point where it's now an inexpensive stock, and that's what matters. How about we go to Mary Jo in Florida? Mary Jo.
Hi, Jim.
Mary Jo, how are you?
I'm great. Hey, I'm club member, long time, first time.
Yes.
And I just want you to know I really appreciate you. In 2008, I sold half my portfolio with the rent in October. In March, I started buying again, and by September, I was back to even. I mean, that saved my bacon as far as my retirement account is concerned. Anyway, and I'm retired now and disabled, so it's really important. Anyway, I'm a club member.
Mary Jo, first of all, thank you. I know that was heartfelt, and that I did that is the kind of thing I'll call my wife after the show and say, look, I did good. And she needs to hear it, and I need to hear it, so thank you. Thank you.
You did really good, really good.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I'm calling about CAT. I'm a club member, but I didn't liquidate it completely when the club sold out a while back.
Right.
And now it just seems like it's not an environment for construction.
You're right. It's not, Mary Jo. And boy, Jim Umpleby's retiring. Oh, man, is he good. He's the guy who really turned the company into what I call a secular grower. That said, it's not expensive, but you're right. It may not be the time to own Caterpillar. There may be a better season coming. And again, thank you for your kind words. And remember, sometimes I got lucky too. The late Mark Haynes really helped me try to find the bottom. So I can't you know, I got to give him credit because he really helped me a great deal. Anyway, look, right now Trump is running Wall Street, and only he can decide if that will be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm hoping for some good. I'm having tonight. Don't miss this lineup of post-earnings exclusives. Next, ServiceNow is on the move after top and bottom line beat today. Wow. I got the CEO to hear what's ahead for software in the midst of macro uncertainty, and it's platinum. Then GE Vernova slid alongside the market during the recent sell-off, but we gained some traction today. I'm checking with top brass to get a better read. And later, Vertiv flew higher after its quarter crossed the tape this morning. I'm digging into the data center industry with the company's top brass, so stay with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on X. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadMentions. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.